So we're going to have a stroopwafel. Oh, nice, eh?
Oh, bloody delicious.
Yeah.
You're officially my favourite guest now.
Well, I bet you say that to all the girls.
Stephen Corlett, CEO of 180 Amsterdam. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks
very
for
much,
coming
Anna.
all the way over from Amsterdam. What does after work mean to you?
For me, it means my wife and kids, but mainly my wife and being together. Any good team has each other's backs, and a marriage is like that, hopefully. The dynamic you have at work, of course, there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of teamship and that sort of thing. But sometimes you need to kind of have a space where it's like, okay, I'm going to totally zone out of things. And yeah, after work for me is being with my wife.
So the partnership, you're bringing together two companies under one roof.
Yeah, and it's quite a unique situation. So 180's been in Amsterdam for 25 years. DDB is a part of the Omnicom network and has been in Amsterdam even longer. And at the moment, what we've done is we've welcomed DDB into the agency a year ago. And for us, it's about creating a space for that brand to flourish as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not really a merger and it's not kind of combining. It's really about having another family in your house. And that brings its own interesting challenges and great opportunities and, you know, diversity. And also for DDB's point of view, they are the local brand. So they concentrate on local clients, and 180 is the international brand.
So if you're two families in one house, are you fighting over the bathrooms?
Yeah, so there's naturally going to be some bits where you go, how are we going to do this? And you have to kind of come back to some first principles, some values that you're going to share. Because also you can't expect a local Dutch client that is making a TV ad a week to operate the same rhythm as a big international brand that makes one big campaign a year. So the working practices can be quite different. Mm-hmm. But what you do is you try to establish a set of shared values. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we did at the beginning of the year, was just say, okay, what are the 8 values that we're all going to expect of each other and lead by, that will then hopefully cascade into the teams, but allow some freedom within those, if you like, agency brands to operate in their own way. You're trying to create some sense of stability, but you have to keep moving forward.
I think the interesting thing is you're not trying to sort of galvanize the two companies. You're actually treating them as separate beings with a lot of respect. And that's different from forcing people to merge or become one or become something different, which is quite frightening for a lot of people in the building.
Yeah, and no one likes change. By making the decision not to merge the brands, we're able to, it's easier to maintain the, let's call it the kind of foundational legacies or stories of the brands.
Amsterdam. Let's talk about Amsterdam. Everyone wants to know about Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Tell us about life in Amsterdam, but also tell us about agency life in Amsterdam compared to London.
So when I left London in 2004, I think, I'd been working at Saatchi's, and there were 2 major things that happened. One is the blinkers come off and you're like, oh, wow, look at all these interesting perspectives that I wasn't getting probably in the singular market I was in before. And the second thing is you get a sense of creative ambition that goes at a scale that is kind of like, oh, wow, like we've got to make stuff that's going to go here and here and here and here. And sometimes in a singular market, you can do amazing work for that market. But doing things at a global level that can touch people from one side of the globe to the other can be incredibly inspiring. And so agency life there combines these 2 things, a lot of fresh perspectives, but also an ambition and a scale that's pretty awesome. And with it, of course, in Amsterdam comes a really wonderful life and city. Yeah. The industry itself is, I think, incredibly open and friendly. You know, people know each other, people have dated each other, people have worked in other places. So there's a good understanding of the culture between the agencies and there's good competition. But at the same time, if someone's going through a bad patch and, you know, you're like, oh, well, we've got some people, we could, you know, there's someone here that's really good. Would you be interested? So there's also that kind of support as well. Someone expressed it sometimes as London feels like Knives Out. That's helped at times make it competitive and some of the best work in the world. The camaraderie between the agencies in Amsterdam is much more pronounced, I would say.
You and I have discussed the importance of positive energy within a team, and sometimes over experience or talent. Tell me a bit about that.
At some point, you're going to need to do something. And to do something, you're going to need some optimism and energy to get it done. And the people who bring energy into it and a sense of can do, or we can if, that makes a huge difference. We spend all our days with problems. So I'm not saying that it's mindless optimism, but a sense that things can be done and we will find a way has a huge effect on others around them. And so you attract radiators rather than drains.
Yes.
And that's the kind of what you're trying to go for.
There's such a joy that comes with energy and enthusiasm, and I don't think it should be underestimated in our agencies. So maybe energy over experience, not energy over talent. That might be a better phrase.
Yeah, but and in certain places, you'll need to have basic talent to be able to do the job. If you can back yourself that they've got the basics and they've got an energy about them, they'll also want to learn the bits that maybe they need to develop. We've had some people recently and they've got a positive energy and immediately things change and people want to be in the room with them and things like that. And that's great.
Tell me about this phrase, we can if.
It came from a book called The Beautiful Constraint by Adam Morgan. And in it, they outline why constraints are a fantastic thing for business because it makes you think. In our industry, we're constantly surrounded by constraints, time, money, people, the client's brief, all sorts of stuff. And there's a phrase in it called, we can if. And it spoke to me just so profoundly because it got to the heart of, and every question that we're asked, every challenge that we faced, if we start with we can if, then we've got an answer. So an example would be, we can't film this. We've only got 50 grand and we can't do a thing. But we can if we film it on my phone. So now we can. So let's work back from what is the things that we can get us to that. And suddenly you're dealing in answers immediately. And of course, some of those are clearly not right. But the idea that we can immediately have 4 or 5 answers of how we can means that we're in a position where we're dealing with a positive outcome. It's an important thing when you think about all the bits of our agency life, whether it be production, account management, creative. You can only use 2 colors. Great. Now it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's why creatives will always say, give me a tight brief, at any point, because they want the constraint to play around with. And that becomes the dynamic of the answer.
I think it's a wonderfully optimistic way to work. We can if. I think I'm going to use that. Can I steal it?
Yeah, you can.
Thanks, mate. Let's talk about this fear of being wrong. And I love the idea of removing the shame that we all grew up with of being wrong and just experimenting more. Yeah,
we did a thing recently about play at the agency, like play as it could be, the future of play. And we had someone come in from Boom Chicago, which is the improv place.
Still going?
Still going strong, yeah. He spoke really well about the idea of just giving things a minute. And then after a minute, it might be, that's not going to work. But you give it time to breathe. I also like to do for myself, which is here's some really bad ideas straight away, because at least they're out then. And now we can start making it better. When I was starting Wild with Talent, I think we thought it was a really good idea to brainstorm names. Yeah. And one of the names was Human Hunters. Yeah, not so much. Just sounds like a serial killer documentary. So I'm not going to rebrand. Yeah. Okay, got you. Yeah. Here's the thing that I think is quite interesting. Go on. Everyone's just making it up as they go along. And that's okay. And all you're trying to hope is that the experiences you're going through allow you to make up the stuff in a way that's got enough experience, enough good judgment, enough humanity, enough empathy, etc. It's comforting. It's okay. Yeah, it's comforting because experimenting's awesome. Yeah. This whole thing is an experiment. Everyone's making it up. Time is running out. You gotta just go for it, and it's okay. Do you teach your team that kind of way of working? I'm trying to make sure that they've got enough experience so that as they walk into a room, they can make it up with good judgment. What's your biggest professional mistake? When I was at Saatchi's, I was working on the army account, and our job was to recruit people into the army. I put the wrong phone number on the poster. And call us, but you can't. Yeah. So if you called up the number, it wasn't there. And of course, it's a massive deal. These posters are out. So anyway, I learned the very important lesson, which is always phone the number on your poster before it goes out the door. What we did actually is we had to buy that phone number from BT at the time, so that it did actually reroute to the army. Oh, thank goodness you were able to do that. Yeah, it wasn't like a sex line or something, which would have been horrific. What keeps you up at night? I think balancing the creative ambition that we have with the realities of running a business today and being able to keep those two things moving at the same pace. Yeah, that's not bloody easy. Finish the sentence. If I wasn't in advertising, I would be a sports coach.
Nice. Still time?
Yeah, I still do some coaching here and there when I can, but yeah, maybe, let's see.
Maybe full time. Thanks for coming, Steve.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you
Loved
very much.
it.
Yeah.
Been
very
too
nice.
long.
Yeah.
Are you still excellent at cleaning toilets?
No. It was a short-lived career.
And I guess you're not going back to that anytime soon.
Well, see how things are going, yeah.